My name's Paul Hillary. I'm from Perth, Western Australia. I'm a member of Marmion Angling Club. I'm a concreter. I love my fishing and diving and just boating in general. This is a 22.5 foot Glasscraft made in Western Australia, probably 40 years old, maybe a bit older. I've had it for 40 years, completely rebuilt it. Probably took me 10 years to rebuild, and repowered it with a Mercruiser 6.2 litre. I hung on to the boat because it was a deep V, heavy boat, really good sea boat. So then I decided to repower it. The old Mercruiser that was in it was a bit old. To repower it, I extended the back so that I could put a marlin board on for my fishing and diving, mainly diving for getting in and out. I cut the hard top off of it and made it a soft top, make it a bit lighter, and completely re-fiberglassed inside of it and paint, 2-pack paint. The boat's a really deep V boat. You can't buy them like this anymore. They're really heavy, made up with a lot of glass in them. Get a really good ride out of them, and they're strong. I had a Alpha 1 5 litre V8 petrol, carburetted, so it was very thirsty, light fuel, probably 2.5 litres per nautical mile. Changed it when we changed it over. I decided to go to the bigger V8. The newer motor is a duo prop, Bravo 3, and they make the boat sit a lot straighter in the water. It doesn't lean as much to one side. The deep V's do lean, but with the Bravo 3 they seem to pull them up a bit straighter when you power them on. Yeah, well, the last one was 2.5 per nautical mile, and we're probably only getting about 28 nautical miles out of it per hour. This newer motor, it does 45 knots, so it's a lot higher, and it's using about 2 litres per nautical mile at that speed. When you go back to more of a cruising between 27 and 37 knots, it drops right back to about 1.5. So if you can lay off the throttle, they're a lot better. With the throttle, with the electronic throttle, it's so responsive, scary at the top end, like when you push it and give it some gas, it goes. When I put the new Mercruiser in, I decided to go with the electronics package as well. You get a small Simrad screen with it as part of the package, but I decided to upgrade it from the 5-inch to the 16, which is a little bit bigger, but I'm getting older and my eyes aren't as good as they used to be, and the Simrad, it all just marries in really well. Your revs, your fuel, what fuel you're using, temperatures, everything, and it comes up really well, shows up really well. The DTS controls are probably, if not 100%, 200% on cables. They're a lot smoother and a lot more responsive, and very instantaneous. You've got all the power in the world. When I did the modifications on the boat, it was a toss-up whether to put a 350 outboard on or an inboard on it. I've got mates that have done the pod changes, and it changes the centre of gravity of the boat, and the boat performed really well with the V8 in it originally, and I wanted to keep the same low centre of gravity, so I knew how it handled. The other one's porpoise if you put a pod on them. I knew how this handled with a big V8 in it.
We are a big service centre, repowering, servicing engines, servicing boats is our #1 focus. That's what we are. 80% of our focus is on servicing boats, engines, pulling engines apart, putting things back together, electronics, winches. Back in 2000, we decided to undergo a process of custom designing a building which was built just to do repowers, that's it. So come in one end, get stripped, get assessed, move on to the next end, get the engines fitted on and move on to the next part, get completely fitted out with new electronics, new winches, and drive out the door and be water tested. So effectively, the first thing we do is we find out what the customer's expectations are, whether it's speed, whether it's carrying more load, whether it's fuel economy. So we identify the customer's expectations first. We then will assess the boat, and we do that free of charge. So the boat will come in, we'll take assorted measurements, check the condition of the transom, check the condition of the steering, fuel lines, all that sort of stuff, to see if the boat will actually handle a new engine. You can't go throwing 350 horsepower at the propeller shaft into something that was only designed to handle 200 horsepower, regardless of what the client wants to do. So once it's past that, and we know exactly what we need to do to repower it, then we start doing written quotes, taking photographs, and the process begins. If the boat starts climbing up a wave, the adaptive speed control will hold those revs. You set that throttle at 3,000 RPM, that boat does 3,000 RPM. So that boat will come in at 22 knots, 18 knots, whatever, regardless of the sea condition, because adaptive will keep changing the throttle to maintain that. This engine is not a General Motors engine. It's not automotive. This engine is 100% been designed from the ground up for marine. And as far as we can understand, it is the only inboard petrol engine on the market that's designed 100% from marine ground up, block, heads, and so forth. So service is a lot easier. Everything's at the top rather than be at the bottom. Everything is at the front. The guys love it. Yeah.